organic black beans from the health food store and organic pinto beans from the health food store. They're both a bush bean. So what we're going to do is we're going to plant a bunch of them in the berm. So we're going to be harvesting some beans soon, and then we'll leave the carcasses, the leftover plant material in there to add nitrogen to the soil. We're also, in the next couple weeks here, I don't think we're going to get to stringing them today, so we'll probably string them next week. But we can bring some coconut fronds over and lay them where we want our beds to be. Then I'll come with some string and stakes, I'll string it out, and then we're going to plant beans in the ground every 3 inches or so. We're going to cover the ground with beans. We're going to harvest and eat some of those beans, and we're going to get the soil prepared for where we're going to make our boxes. We're going to make our boxes right where we planted those beans, cover them in coconut fronds, fill those boxes with the worm compost here, and pick up the red dirt that's there and mix that. And that's what we're going to be growing our major bulk of food in. We're going to be watering those beds with our fish ponds that have nitrogen. That's going to be our regular base nitrogen fertilizer for them. It's also going to draw the worms that we brought here that we have in bins and in our pits are migrating through the ground as we build mycelium. The web of mycelium, which I was talking about the last time I was here. We're looking at on the surface, we want below the surface as well. Just how we have plants growing, we want roots growing and mold foundation, basically, which is mycelium, which the earthworms are going to bring. They're going to tunnel down deep. That mycelium is going to line the inside of their burrows and create a spider web underground under us, which is how nature would normally have this, and this field's been plowed for so many years that there's nothing like that intact here now. But by the time we get through with it, or we really get into it, within another 6 months to a year probably, the more we get planted in the ground, the more mycelia and earthworm burrows we're going to have. One thing we're going to go do in a second, we're going to go walk down to the bottom. We're going to show how some of the worms I brought in, I don't know if any of you guys remember in the very beginning, we did an earthworm search. We couldn't find one worm, not one, on the entire farm when this place started, not one. Now we can go down there and we can show worms that have burrowed from here all the way down to the bottom of the property here and are living under the coconut fronds. So that means we do have tunnels and drainage underneath here.
I've introduced in my farm too.
Right.
So
oh, cool.
We've
awesome.
got them there too.
Yeah, so that the more we put in here, and what the other thing going is, once we have mycelium under the surface here, the worms from that ditch over there, that ditch is loaded with worms. Amethyst gracilis. It's a big, what they call a Georgia jumper, and it's a localized worm that's been here for 100 years or so. Those from that culture will start to come up here. They'll smell the mycelium from underground in the compost, and they're going to come towards it to eat it. So we're going to attract worms that are around us in all the natural areas that haven't been tilled over and over and over again. And we're going to create the same kind of setup like it looks on the side of the road with trees and bushes. But we're going to be farming it as well. So we're trying to find a medium of like farming in nature instead of taking nature out and replacing it with just farming.
I'll go get it.
So this is mycelium. Where'd you get it from?
This is oyster mycelium.
Grew it.
Mark grew it.
Mark grew it?
Grocery store mushroom.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you do with it?
You take this, you inoculate grain with it. You can inoculate rye grain or barley grain from the brewery. And we could probably recycle that brewery grain. We can see if that'll work.
Yeah.
And then once it grows out into that, we can inoculate straw, which we have a field of oat straw over here.
We can inoculate newspaper.
We can inoculate newspaper. It grows really awesome on cardboard. We've got a pile of wood chips there. And mushrooms are awesome decomposers, especially for wood.
Okay, now when I'm talking about a spider web underground of mycelium,
yeah,
this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
This is a certain type of mycelium. The naturally occurring myceliums we get are a mixture of multiple types of mycelium. But mycelium is what throws, it is, a mushroom is a fruit of mycelium, basically.
Yes. It's called mycorrhizal, the ones that are in the ground. And they attach themselves to the roots, and they basically are a giant extension of a plant root. And they take stuff and they do an exchange with the roots of the plant. And it helps the plant. They benefit each other, basically. And it's a network, and they've proven that underground they've been able to take one tree that, say, wasn't getting sunlight, and the other trees that were next to it were feeding it, and they were able to prove it, and it was feeding it through the the only way it was happening is through the mycelium network.
And now, how is the mycelium connecting to the other tree? Your very most important key, earthworms. Earthworm tunnels.
And it runs the
trees. Mycelium takes on the inside of the tunnel and works it. So as the worm is also eating and defecating in the tunnel as he moves, he's leaving an array of almost every natural bacteria known to man that's a beneficial bacteria. And that's getting worked through the tunnels. Not only is that, the mycelium itself will transfer the earthworm castings, and like he says, even the effect of photosynthesis with nitrogen, the mycelium will transfer it in this web. The largest known organism on the planet is the mycelium bank, I think in the aspen trees.
Yeah, aspen trees.
I think it is.
Yeah,
or is it a... Oh, I can't remember what it is. I thought it was like Michigan.
Yeah, no, there's a few different, and that's a debatable. Some people say a banyan tree in Lahaina is the largest living organism on the earth.
No, it's a mushroom.
No. But the truth of it is that it is mycelium,
Yeah.
and they say it's connected to that. I think it was the aspens that they said it's connected to because it covers such a vast area. The mycelium connects it as one organism, the largest organism on the earth.